chapter 8, June 30th, 1982. That marks the deadline for ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment. Now that means there's 1 year left, that's all, for the ERA to be approved in 3 more states. In a few hours, the National Organization for Women is launching its ERA Countdown campaign, and Eleanor Smeal, the president of NOW, will be addressing the National Press Club in Washington to outline the organization's strategy for the coming year. Ellie Smeal is with us this morning in our Washington studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, a lot of people feel that there's been such a shift to the right since Reagan took office. I wonder how you feel this shift to the right has affected your push with the ERA.
Well, actually, it's helping to fuel it, because reality is that there's a backlash. There's a backlash to the anti-woman proposals. You know, for the last 15 years, we've been trying to say that a hostile administration and a hostile Congress to women's rights could repeal the statutes or make us go backwards. And many people never believed that. Today, more people believe that than ever before. And they realize that the statutes that we have can easily be reversed. And in fact, in many cases, that's what's happening.
So how do you fight all of this? What is your strategy going to be in the coming year?
The strategy in the coming year is that we are going to absolutely remind people constantly of the time. There's 12 months left. I'm wearing a countdown button. People have a feeling that this can go on and on. But the reality of it is that if we do not ratify by June 30th, 1982, we can go backwards and have serious losses, and more than losses, I think. We risk never having a chance in this century of closing the wage gap between men and women. And as you know, women now make 59% of what men make in wages. But in addition to that, there are programs such as Social Security where we make half as much as what men make. And right now, the cuts in Social Security, and we're going to remind people of that, will make it such that elderly women will have to choose between fuel and food.
Ms. Smeal, for 4 years, you've needed these 3 states. In the last 4 years, there have been no states ratifying the Equal Rights Amendment. Do you not see that possibly as an indication that the people in those states don't want the Equal Rights Amendment?
Well, the oddest thing about this whole campaign is how popular we are in the polls and in support. See, the reason we know by polling that we are popular in the unratified states, right now we have 2-to-1 support. The reason we're having trouble is the process. We have to pass 2 houses, the Senate and the House of these state legislatures. Just a handful of men, literally, are blocking passages. We estimate anywhere from 6 to 12 men are blocking passage in 3 states, and the total 6 to 12 men. It is a very difficult process. If women and men could go to the polls and vote for it, and if they had information about the amendment, it's even difficult to get the words out. The opposition have so distorted and lied about the amendment. We would have no trouble. But we know we're in a difficult political climate, and we know on social issues that the right wing thinks that they have a social mandate. They don't have a mandate. And we have to build a political movement in a climate that we know is hostile, except for one thing. Women are with us. And the most recent polls show that women are now going to vote. If the elections were today, they would vote by a 10% margin for Democrats, because they realize that the Republican Party is holding back this amendment.
With all this support that you say, what went wrong? There was a time when it seemed like ERA was in.
Well, it's the process. We have 2/3 of it. It's approximately 72% of the population has voted for it. It's been passed in 35 states. I think the major thing, incidentally, was overconfidence. People keep thinking that it will happen. It's the 1970s, late 70s, 80s. Of course people are for women's rights. Everybody keeps saying they're for women's rights. It's just a matter of time. And in the meantime, the states that remained were in the Deep South primarily. They were controlled, or they had very conservative blocks that could block the amendment either in a committee or in one particular house. And people didn't understand the process. It was interpreted that, and it has been interpreted, that women didn't want it, which is not true. The women's vote in support has been very solid. And so it bogged down we feel that with people realizing that there is just 12 months left, that it will give a great deal of impetus, plus the backlash to really very right-wing proposals for women. There is no question that women are going out to work, that they need equal pay, and that they want it, and that that there's a real fear that we will go backwards. We think there will be a surge forward, political strength in the movement.
You talk about this right-wing backlash. How do you think it is that the moral majority has gotten so much political clout if there aren't, in fact, millions of Americans out there who do support it?
You know, politics is not just people being, it's not a simple process of turning people into power. They have tremendous money behind them, tremendous mechanisms of reaching the population through the power of money. We've had numbers, we've not had the financial resources, but of course this is not to be surprised because people do profit from underpaying women. So it's been an uphill battle. Our biggest strength is that we are meeting and answering a need. There's no question women can't get along on half pay and half Social Security benefits.
Bottom line now, how optimistic are you? How realistic is it to think that you're going to get these 3 states?
I believe that it's uphill, but I also believe that women aren't going to go backwards, and in the final analysis, we will have the streets filled with people pushing forward for the amendment. There will be rallies, incidentally, on June 30th in 180 cities. It isn't a dead issue. It's very alive. I think it's going to be like the Italian voting on abortion. In the final analysis, women will be heard.
Thank you, Ms. Smeal. We'll be right back.